So let's fast forward a little bit. So now you're fully in the mix, and people are thinking like, did you really throw 300 balls a day? Yes, you were like full on. It was still run and shoot.
Yeah.
Like the run was non-existent. Almost.
We were only shooting. I don't even know why they call it a run and shoot.
Exactly. So then you were just throwing, and I think the one thing that, because I this was the beginning of my career as a student, so I was actually on the sideline for majority of your home games, and I think the one thing that stood out to me was your accuracy. And I mean that, like you said, it's just getting your arm conditioned, but also putting in the reps so that you can perform and execute on game day. But was there anything that really helped you overcome the shoulder, I guess, deconditioned shoulder in the beginning, and how did that progress?
Yeah, at first it was just conditioning the shoulder, and then just overall strengthening the body, strengthening the core, the legs, because as you throw, it's not just your arm, right? You got to use your legs, you got to use your midsection, everything, right? I think that was a big part of it, starting to work on the decelerators, the back components of my muscles, all of those things. All of that kind of played into role. And I mean, going into it, I never knew, like, was high school is just throw the ball, hit the guy, like, the game was still kind of simple then, but then you start to learn, like, hey, you got to start taking care of your body this way, you got to start doing those kind of things, you got to go see Wongi, and you got to do some shoulder stuff, you got to get iced, you got to, there's a lot more components to it as far as I want to say being a professional athlete. We're not professional at the time, but you got to start to prepare your body and mind as if you were a professional.
And I think that's one of the things that I say on many of these episodes is my whole goal is to try to bring some of these resources to people earlier, or to people that don't have access to a Division I collegiate, athletic training program, right? Because a lot of these things are simple. Like, it just takes time to take care of your body, but the more that you learn how to take care of your body, you lengthen out and prolong your career. And that's the main thing, right?
Definitely.
But in the beginning, unfortunately, if we don't have access to some of these resources, like you said, most athletes, myself included in high school, you just don't know. But then once you realize, hey, this is really helping me, that's usually what helps you to keep moving forward and just perform week after week, right? So, okay, now your your first year at UH, right? So you had 3 eligible seasons at that time.
Yeah, I had 3 years to play 3, and luckily I played all 3.
All 3, yes. And that first season, so how many games did you play? Because you came in after...
I want to say like 8 games.
8 games. So it was pretty early on.
Right.
And I think that season, honestly, I can say, like, from the sideline and everything, you brought a lot of excitement and hope and everything to, just the state of Hawaii, right? Because you performed really well. So now, after you have that successful season, right, what was your mindset like going into your last 2 years?
It talks about that like we talked about earlier about the speed of the game. That first year, man, let me just take you back to Greg's injury. The week before that, Brent Roush, who was second string at the time, he broke his finger on a helmet.
Oh, yeah.
And so that moved me up from 3 to 2. And at that point, I'm still a backup. I'm preparing, getting myself ready. But then I remember when Greg went down, like, I was just like on the side, kind of like, kind of tending to him. And I was just like, oh, damn. Forgetting that I'm number 2. Like, I'm up. And I remember, like, Rolo kind of grabbing me, like, wow, what are you doing? Get ready. You're up. And, like, talk about 0 to 100, like, it was just like, whoa, like, I'm in, my heart rate was through the sky. It's like, boom, pumping, it's time to go, like, live bullets, you're in.
And that's probably the hardest thing, not only mentally, but, like, for anybody to come off the bench, because you're not really super warm, right? You were sitting down for how long? Or,
for sure. I mean, and even at practice wise, right, I haven't gotten the most reps. Up until that point, it was a lot of mental reps because I was only 3rd string up until a week ago. Before that, and as a 3rd string, 4th stringer, and so on, you're only going to get maybe a 1-2 reps of practice. Otherwise, you're in the back. You got to take mental reps. I also feel like that helped separate me because in school, I would go to class and then I'd come back to the coach's office every week. I had a pillow and a blanket in Rolovich's office because I would sleep there. When I wasn't, like, in between times, like, I'm in there watching film and I'm tired. I'm like, I spent my college life in class and in the offices, like, literally. That helped prepare me for the moment of getting on the field. But as that sophomore year went along and I started playing, you know, I built confidence and self-belief in myself. And, you know, we had a good stretch towards the end where we won like 4 or 5 in a row, falling one short of a bowl game. But that momentum helped
carry over
into the off season of my junior year and into the season of my junior year to where we had a fantastic year.